Welcome to TimSold Talks. Join us as we dive into all things real estate, talk about business, food, cars, and much more with industry experts. Dream it, believe it, achieve it. Welcome back to another episode of TimSold Talks. I'm very honored to have Coach Wesley Hamilton here join us from Pressonpath. Thank you for coming on to our show, Coach.
Thank you so much, Tim. It's an honor to be here. You got an amazing setup. This is amazing to be a part of this.
Thank you. And but before we begin, I just need to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Eatable Popcorn. They're a local, a homegrown, very successful Canadian story. And their claim to fame was this past Oscar seasons. They were in the gift bags of all the celebrities and all the free swag they were giving out the celebrity cool. Oscar shows there. They've got cross-border contracts. They've also got some contracts with Disney and some big production films coming out over the next little while. So we got two flavors to try here. We got a coconut lime margarita and a strawberry champagne. So please help yourself.
All right. I'm going to try this one first.
Yeah, that's the coconut margarita. So they taste like alcoholic, but they're not. There's no alcohol in there. And they got a ton of different flavors. So go check them out, guys. Okay, so
wait. I gotta rate them. Do I rate them?
Yeah.
Right.
What do you want?
Wait, one more time.
Yeah,
I gotta get one of each.
Gotta rate on the flavor.
What's your favorite popcorn first, though, Tim?
Popcorn.
We're honest here. If you could pick one flavor, what's it?
I like with their flavors.
Yeah.
Okay, so you may not have tried this one yet, but they made a ginger scallion sesame oil flavor one, and that's to mimic one of these Chinese different dishes that they traditionally dip it with like chicken and eat it all that.
That sounds good.
So it's an Asian flavor that they did a collaboration with one of the local restaurants here. When I got a hold of it, it's like, oh my goodness, like it tastes like that dish on a popcorn.
Yeah.
And they're really good at mimicking the flavors. And
this one, I would say like 7.5.
7.5?
It's a good, like, sweet and savory at the same time. You know? It's both.
It's both.
Let's try this one.
That's the strawberry champagne one. It's like a sweet.
It was really sweet.
Yeah.
My wife would love this.
Oh, we got a lot of samples to give away, so.
She's going to be like, why you say that on here? Yeah.
What'd you rate that one?
I'm not as much of a sweet, so I would say 6 for this one. But this one's 7.5.
Yeah, I think the kernels are crunchier too, this one.
Tastes high quality.
Yeah.
Tastes high
quality.
It's
very good. They're produced
you said
fresh.
It was like organic or homegrown or
they're Canadian success story.
Canadian, yeah.
They everything's manufactured here locally. Yeah, so nothing's outsourced. So
we love supporting local brands. Local
exactly.
businesses.
That's what we're all about. So and speaking of that, so thank you for coming on show. You started this company called Pressonpath. Can you tell us or tell the audience what's that all about?
Yeah, so Pressonpath, I'm the founder and the head trainer. I started a development program. So I would call myself a professional basketball player development coach. Here in Toronto. And I wear many hats, but that's one of the hats that I wear as an entrepreneur, as a husband, and as a small business owner.
Pressonpath, is there a particular meaning behind that? Or
absolutely. Press on actually is what my name means, Wesley. So Wesley means press on.
Okay.
So it's kind of, I'm deep like that, but I go into the meanings of names, and Wesley means rich nutrient soil by a river, or a person who leans against a person, place, or thing. And press on means a person who leans against a person, place, or thing.
Okay.
And so I actually didn't know that when I created the name, but so it's kind of funny. My business is my name.
Yeah. And how long ago have you started this, or how long?
So press on, the name was always with me as a kid. It actually it comes from the verse Philippians 3:14. I will press on towards the goal to win the prize for which God's called me heavenward in Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
that verse was always my favorite. It's my tattoo. It's everything. So it's also part of my testimony too. But outside of basketball, I really feel like it's my motto. It's the mindset of the progressive mindset that I carry, and I'm big on the mindset piece. So pathways is part of like the word, but it connects with player development. Yeah. Because I'm trying to set a way for players beyond sport, but in life as well. Right. Yeah. And I think my business helps players, point them in the right direction. Yeah. Because there's a lot of you know how the basketball business world is. It can be tricky navigating it. A lot of parents. There's a lot of information, and so I think that's where I come in and really help mentor and guide the next generation, right?
Yep.
to keep going.
No, that's amazing venture that you've set up. And how long ago has it that you've been set up? It's fairly new.
Yeah,
It's
so
not like, yeah.
this business is I've run it officially as a sole proprietor for 1 year now.
Nice.
So in September
Congratulations.
is our 1 year anniversary.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm super proud to say that.
No, it's amazing to see the success and everything that you've achieved in such a short time frame.
appreciate
So
that.
thank you very much for coming and sharing that. Um, Before we go into the business part, because this is obviously a new venture, what was your history like? How did you, basketball and playing, and how did you?
So I actually grew up in a small town north of the city here in Keswick.
Keswick?
If you know of Keswick, everybody's like, "Why do you say it?" Don't claim that place, but I really am from there. And I started with the love of the game from my older brother, and kind of did everything that he did. Basketball was like my first love. And I excelled. I actually started when I was really young, before TikTok, before Instagram, before Vine was even all these big things. I made little training videos of me in my basement.
Wow.
And there's a few NBA trainers now, like Dribble Too Much, and NBA coaches. They used to repost me all the time. So when I was like 7, 8 years old, I had millions of views and people following me and stuff like that.
Upload onto YouTube or like how?
Yeah, no, Instagram. Actually.
Instagram. Okay.
Before it was like 30-second or 15-second videos. So that's kind of like where some of the training part started, because I was a student of the game. I watched Kobe, I watched YouTube, and I would mimic and copy moves and whatnot, and I would record and post things of myself training before this was even like the normal now. So
wow. Okay, so that started when you're quite young, and then
very young.
I took it you played high level basketball. Talk about that journey.
So I grew up playing in Newmarket. That was my first time playing at 9.
Okay.
We actually, OBA is still a big thing around here, but we won like the championships at that time.
Nice.
I went from playing ball in my driveway to winning all of Ontario's their cup. But I grew up in Newmarket played for a few teams, IM Spartans, YMBA, and those were like the main 2 clubs at the time. Now there's so many more. And then I went on to playing for Gators and
nice.
Rep basketball. Then when I was in grade 10, went off to prep school. And moved out of my parents' house, and I was never moved back in since then. From there, went to college, and
you
full circle around. Now we're here.
So prep school, that was in Canada or the US?
So I played at GTA Prep.
Okay.
Prep schools, you know how it is. Every year they're changing, but at the time there was one of the best prep schools.
Nice.
Alongside like AJ Lawson, who's now in the league. There's a few other players that we played around. But Coach David Cooper was my coach.
Cooper, okay.
And then my senior year, I transferred to George Harris Prep, which is now St. Jude's Academy.
Okay.
And I learned a lot through high school. There's different academic situations. But like some programs that had good basketball programs, not so good academics. And I unfortunately had the best of both. I've experienced best basketball, worst academics, the worst academics and the best basketball. And all to say that parents really got to do the research before they go send their kid off, because even in the living situations, like, to be very transparent, I was a senior with in some very bad situations that can be very messy, right?
Hosting families, I guess, or
we had one of the situations, I lived with a board family, and then the other one was the players had a team house. And you can imagine those environments as a
bunch of senior
young man navigating, right?
Okay. No, that's great word of advice, because I think a lot of our listeners are trying to navigate that path as well. So that's why we're trying to bring on some coaches and some experience to give them some advice on that. So, thank you for sharing that. And then, so from prep school, you went to university.
So I had a few like U Sports and low major Division 3, 2 interest coming before COVID. I'm so young. So 2019, I had a lot of interest to go play. But then when 2020 came, everything shut down. So like I had, and all my communication with coaches came to a stop because they didn't know what was happening.
Travel,
right?
There's no nothing.
Exactly. And then last minute, I was like, okay, well, the West Coast is still open. Ontario's on lockdown. I'm gonna go out there, and least I can do is get in the gym and train. And from there, that whole experience led me to, meet some really life-changing people in my life, and led me on a journey of, like, what am I gonna do next after ball? And so I ended up playing sorry, to backtrack, I was offered from Trinity Western University, but the coach got fired right when I was about to go sign. And so then I was like,
Okay.
what's happening?
What's
Why is he
happening,
not
right?
responding to me? We're like going back and
Yeah.
forth with paperwork. And I wasn't the only one at this time. There was a few other athletes that I found that was happening the same thing to them.
Yeah.
And I just really wanted to be an example to those players and encourage, because a lot of people were quitting right in COVID,
Yeah.
especially girls basketball.
Yeah.
You saw
Didn't know what's
the
happening.
impact. Even now,
Yeah.
we're
It's
still
just
living through that.
recovering. Yeah.
But then anyway, I ended up transferring to a small Bible college school
Okay.
that I was like, man, I'm never going to Bible school. Like this is, I'm a young PK growing up. I'm like, I'm never going there. And man, I went there for a year, and then, the situation just didn't work out the way I wanted it to.
Yeah.
And ended up jumping in as a full-time player development coach from there.
Nice. All right.
Yeah.
Wow. And then the rest is history, I guess, right?
The rest is history.
Okay. So talking about that, you got obviously playing history and coaching history and our experiences. What's a memorable piece of or experiences that you can share with our audience that are listening from your playing side to your coaching side now? And, can you talk about some of that?
I think as a young kid, like those memorable moments was like I said, I like having a presence on social media and being around some of these OGs in the basketball training world at a young age. I think I'm super blessed and fortunate to have that wisdom, that knowledge poured into me at a young age that now I can carry it forward as like the new G in the game.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, like I walk in these room, even this weekend, I was helping coach at like Phil Handy's 94 feet a game camp here in Toronto, which was amazing because that was like the first 94 or the second Canadian 94 feet event, which is a big deal here in the city, just impacting the community, advancing basketball here.
Yeah.
So it's special to be a part of that. But those moments, right? Those they really help me carry forth, right? What we can do in the city here. So I lost my train of thought a little bit, but what were you mentioning there?
Some memorable experiences of like from
Memorable
your
experiences,
from your playing career to your coaching experience.
I would
now,
say
and-
like the coaching, even this weekend, like coaching with Phil, like I got to have lunch with him. Like a lot of people don't have that access, and to go to Cactus Club in North York and to chop it up with basketball and, have a connection to these people of, to some perceive as great stature in the basketball community, but to be able to connect with them and just have a genuine relationship bigger than basketball. On the playing side, on my AAU and prep school scene, I've played against many NBA players like Melo Ball, Jalen LeCue, Jalen Green. Like these are all like big NBA names now, or even playing. I didn't play with AJ Lawson, but he was on the team older than me that we would train with here and there. So I mean, there's lots of guys now and who are friends who have gone on. Another memorable, I would say now current training experience is one of my first clients. He actually just signed his first pro contract.
Wow.
And so that was like a really cool, memorable experience. Just like, to really impact somebody's family and change their situation. I think that's part of our vision as well, is we want to change like the family bloodlines. Really, it's not just basketball. We want to impact, and we know that through basketball, the beauty of sport, the platform, the lens, the language, the depth of what it can bring to really impact people's lives through the game. And so really honored to say and be a part of we had a player, DeKel Brooks is his name. He played at UPI.
Okay.
And now he's over in Portugal. So to be able to help support him, overseas and to help be that life sport for him, right?
Yeah. No, it's amazing connections that you're making too, right? And lifelong connections. Maybe speaking about that, how did they come to find you, or did you find them? Like, how did this all, like, word of mouth, or like
God will just bring people in your path, man. Literally, like the right people in the right seasons that you need. I met probably one of my closest, like we consider each other family, but JT, Jonathan Thompson, Coach JT at Next Generation Athletics. He's probably he's my mentor, but he's also like a brother to me. So he's actually one of Phil's like right-hand mans. And so, but beyond that, before that is like our Pastor Terrence and our church, and they're covering over us and what we're able to do together. I'm part of a church in Vancouver, and
Yeah.
we're also involved in planning it here in the city. So
Wow.
those are some of the
Okay.
things as well that we're connected and that we're working on doing here. So
Amazing. It's all about the connections and the relationships and
yeah,
the people that are put in front of us through
exactly.
the Lord. So it's amazing to see. And
Hmm.
so as you transfer your skills from playing to coaching now, like
Right.
what are some of the transferable skills? What are some of the new skills that you're picking up now and learning how to
Yes,
deal with that?
yes. So it's a very different mindset. Like you
Yeah.
have your the player's mindset, you have like the trainer's mindset and the
Yeah.
coach's mindset. Those are all
Hmm.
very different positions, right?
Hmm.
I think it's very transport. I'm very competitive, so
Yeah.
like the player, all those things. You gotta learn, right? Because
Hmm.
being a coach, you're not just a coach; you're a teacher.
Mm.
And as a trainer, like there's certain things that you have to navigate, right, when you're playing versus training and coaching.
Yeah.
As a player, you don't really want to think about too much. Yeah, like
Yeah.
you just want to. It's
It's
instinctual.
yeah. Yeah.
It's subconscious. That's like the zone we're trying to get into. But as a
Hmm.
trainer, it's very different. Like we're actually trying to work through these weaknesses. We're
Hmm.
trying to expose a lot of weaknesses and hold players accountable,
Yeah.
right? So we can grow. As a coach, we don't really care about like all the mistakes. We want to hide all those mistakes and just use everybody's uh
Strengths.
strengths,
Yeah.
right? And it's
Put
really
it.
like plugging all the pieces together
Hmm.
and very systematic, right? Like the
Hmm.
head coaching position is making sure that we got the right leadership team, like the
Hmm.
right people around us.
Yeah.
The assistant coaches is all right, we're running all the player development programs.
Yeah.
We're doing a lot, like a lot of the programming.
Yeah.
But and then as the trainer, we're executing what is the head coach? What do these people want above me? How do I continue to implement these systems to see that growth that we're going for? So yeah, there's
So
lots of
it's
challenges navigating it, and
yeah.
as a trainer, I think we kind of have to learn how to do both,
Mm.
right? Training and coaching, but
Yeah.
I really try to keep it everything applicable to the game and just
Mhm.
teach what I see, right?
Yeah.
It can be very complicated in the training space, but coach what you see, coach the game, and that's the right way to
Right,
train,
but
in my
yeah.
opinion.
Yeah. And as a skills trainer, you're talking a little bit about the differences between the different programs. Can you care to elaborate on that for our
Yeah,
audience?
so right now I currently offer a lot of small group training,
Yeah.
but in the space there's private training, there's large group training, there's camps.
Yeah.
Camps is more like as a summer thing, but I really try to hold what I do is memberships, which is what I believe is the most affordable way for me to access players
Yeah.
and give them an opportunity to stay in the gym. It also aligns with my values. Like if a player wants to get better, I'm giving you the opportunity to get in the gym
Yeah.
and at a what I believe is affordable price for a lot of players.
Yep.
So yeah, that's like kind of what we
How's it
offer
going
at
for
the moment.
Yeah. And speak up a little bit about that, about the training, because that's kind of changed from when you were growing up too, right? The landscape.
Definitely.
Yeah.
The training is evolved a lot.
Yeah.
We didn't even like what I could say a lot of the old school mentalities of training and
Yeah.
the new ways of training. You have the psychology and like how do we communicate to kids is very different. Like I grew up with some crazy coaches. Like I'm gonna just put it that way. Some crazy
Drill
coaches,
sergeants like just yelling at
yeah,
you. And, like,
military sergeant, like kids passing out on a field, like those kind of
oh
thing.
wow.
Ambulance, like
Okay.
like wild things that you're like all in the name of mental toughness, right?
Yeah.
And be tough and
Yeah.
that Kobe mentality, but you don't have the resources that Kobe had. You don't have the nutrition or the recovery that Kobe had.
Yeah.
So like it's very different, right?
Yeah.
As you can imagine.
Oh no, yeah, for sure. I think just the way, even just parenting or the way they teach you in school now, it's very different
Very
from
different.
when we were growing up.
Yeah.
And I'm a few decades older than you, so
Yeah, yeah.
very different. Okay, so but you touched on the mental toughness in sports. So does that change, like, the elements of the mental toughness? Does that change, or how do you coach that? How do you train that, or bring it out in the child now?
Yeah, so one of the things that we do, or at least what I try to preach, is through like we want to dominate in sport and press on in life. But even more than that, like what do we teach? Like we teach ability from the head down and skill set from the ground up. So I really want to focus on that mental aspect.
Yeah.
Part of our development plan is we have an acronym called TEAM. It's teach principles, and that's like really going after the press on pathways, our mindset program.
Yeah.
And then equip pillars, that's like our core skills and the training regimen, like the habits of these players beyond basketball. Like, are you cleaning your room? Are you putting these dishes away? Like, because that transfers into every area of your life. The applying patterns. So that's like where we go from the skill work to the like more game concept, basketball IQ work. And then the last part is make progress. And that's where we get into like the competing side, right? We learn these skills, you know how to apply these patterns now, or you recognize these patterns now. How do we put it into this beautiful picture, right? In the game. And that's you're really just creating scenarios for the players to work through what the skills are we work through, what are the patterns, and keeping that big picture painting together. So for example, if we're going through like a small sided game with variables and constraints, forcing the players to work on the skills that we just went over in the sessions. That's kind of like what we try to build towards. We always have like a goal, I would say, in our sessions, like we're building towards something. And that's the idea of press on as well. Is I'm trying to lead you towards something. And like for me, it's their goals, their dreams in basketball, but even greater than that is, like I pray and I hope that, like, when you see me coach, like you see him, it's not just basketball training, but there's like, there's something different about Coach West. There's something more that he carries, that he has to offer. And that's really what I hope that people experience when they come and they train with me.
No, I think it shows in terms of the success you've already had in such a short time frame, and the word of mouth is getting out there. And
Thank you.
Okay, so what advice would you offer to parents who want to support their children in pursuing their athletic pursuits? Because you've probably seen the whole spectrum of.
That's a really good question. That's why I'm like, man, there's so many ways I can go with this. One of the pieces of advice I would give is play your role as a parent. Like a lot of parents, they want to be they can damage a lot of the relationships that players have with programs or with coaches, but your job is to support your kid and to love your kid. And often a lot with the politics of sport, like parents are often the reason their kid isn't successful. Like I've coached for like 3 or 4 years, like grassroots basketball, and a lot of the issues that we deal with kids is nothing to do with the kids. It's everything to do with the parents. And unfortunately, we get a lot of grown toddlers in the industry, like just unrealistic expectations and unmet. Like there's not a lot of like proper communication. I believe in order for things to work right, like from the coaches to the parents, there's got to be proper communication and organization as well. I think as a parent, you really just got to support them, like, and don't force a kid, right? If a kid, I'm big. I see parents who are like, we're gonna get up at 6 a.m. We're gonna do it all. We're gonna 3 days, 4 days. We're gonna work out. You go into the league and you're putting your whole life and dream in this kid that you failed to live. And now we live in a culture of, I don't want to talk bad of any even men's league, because they have their time and place, but a lot of players didn't do anything with their basketball career, and now they try to live it out in their 30s, thinking that they're a star on social media, but nobody's watching you. And in the same sense, you have kids and you're trying to live your dream again through your kid. Now, I think that's very different. Like, you can support your kid in their dream, but it can become unhealthy, I think, when you're forcing things onto them, right? I tell the parents I work with, I'm like, look, if your kid is not working on the things that we're doing outside of training, take them out. Like, save your money. Don't invest it in me. Like, if they don't love this, then it also saves me time. Like, I don't want to work. I don't want to, like, that's probably one of the biggest things I struggle with in training is I want it more for them, than you do. But at that point, I'm like, look, this ain't for you. Like, I got to find the right person to work with, And that's where my passion comes in, right? Because I'm like, I love these kids. I love the game. And I'm very passionate with what I do, right?
No, it shows when you're my son coaches with you as well, or trains with you. The difference. It's the hands-on approach, the attention, the detail that I think that you provide. It's next level. So it's kudos to that. So okay, and so a lot of different coaches, a lot of different methodologies. Which ones do you kind of like subscribe to and want that to be your legacy?
Absolutely. I would call myself like the bridge between the skill and the game coaches. So my philosophy is all about the game. I would say, like, there's a few core principles that I emphasize on is footwork, mindset, everything that we do comes back down to the foundation of what I teach, and I believe also who I am as a person. And I really believe that like the more that we invest in the foundation of the athlete, basketball aside, the greater that they will go on and be successful. And so leading kids towards that goal is really achieving inner greatness. It's not just like pressing on towards a goal. What is that goal? It's achieving inner greatness. I want to be great. I want to help others tap into that greatness, right?
Yeah.
And I really believe that you can, even at a young age. Like you see the way I approach. I don't care if you're new to the game. Like I treat the players I train with the same way I treat when I train pros to beginners, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think the way that we train players should be any different. So that's really what I try to teach in my methodologies is, you know, no matter who's in front of you, just approach them the same way, treat them all the same, and give them all that you can give, right?
Yeah.
And I believe that, I know you guys are big givers over here, and like give and it'll be given onto you, you know? When you give freely, you freely receive. You're able to receive more. And so I just, you know, like no matter the life or the player that I come across with, I'm trying to give anywhere I can give and help, and you know, help them, even if it's just like a small thing. That part of our training slogan is to training that leaves a mark. I want to leave a mark in the kid's life, you know, even if it's just like, you know, showing love or giving them high fives, like little thing. I think a lot of coaches just train the bad things, but I really emphasize on training what they do well as well, because I think that really helps build confidence. And that's the key that a lot of coaches don't do. Like a player will go work with you, but their confidence goes down because you don't train the good thing. You don't coach the good things as well. And I think that's like the missing link a lot of the time. So some free game for a lot of like, you know, new trainers in the industry. That's really what
some advice.
Some good advice there.
Yeah, no, because you know, to draw the similarity, because I used to be a psychologist before getting the real estate game. And a lot of the psychology industry was just focused on the negatives. Oh, what's wrong, the diagnosis, these diseases, these orders. But then, you know, in the early 2000s, they had a shift in minds. Like, well, if you're only focusing on the negatives, well, what about the positives, right? You don't know how to encourage it. You don't
Coaching in fear.
Coaching in fear. So
That's right.
So that's why there's a big shift in the psychology world to focus on positive psychology. And I think that translates a lot into the athletics now.
And I think like the players that I train, they take on the personality of their coach, you know? So I really try to emphasize like a culture of joy, of love. Like if you don't love this, when we're working hard, this is going to get hard.
It's going to be hard.
You got to love it. And the joy really makes it easy. When you love what you're doing and that competitive culture and environment is present, it makes training easy and fun, right? Players want to come back.
They want to come back,
be a part
right?
of that.
And they'll try extra harder, right? Like,
exactly.
I think the whole field of you know, the negative reinforcement and punishment,
100%.
and that's an older generation style, and now we're learning to adapt. So, okay, so. You do the training. You do coach any teams as well, or do you?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
No. I have some opportunities to, but right now I just like I'm still newlywed. I have my hands full in other areas, so I'm really just trying to focus on the business at the moment. I think before a coaching position, because in this coaching world, people can lose their jobs just like this, and if you have nothing to fall back to, like it just. I want to have that for my family, some stability.
The entrepreneur spirit.
Exactly. So that's really where my focus is right now, is building and kind of sewing into other teams to help me continue to grow what I'm doing here.
No, it's great. So speaking about that, like, where do you want to see yourself in the next little while? Like, building on that.
Like I said, I do want to have a business and some programs. I see myself partnering with, you know, some churches in the community and also advancing like basketball here in Toronto. I really do believe that God's called me to the city of Toronto and in Vancouver specifically. And so I'm been doing a lot of work in Vancouver as well, like some camps out there and here. And
anyone you want to shout out to over there?
Like I said, my pastors, Pastor Terrence, and Pastor Julia.
And which church are they from?
Love Quest International Church. And like I said, we're working on planning here in the city, but my friend JT, who I mentioned earlier, he's like Phil Handy's right hand man, and you know, just being connected and helping other people with their vision. I think that's like a thing on my heart with like Press On is sure, everybody wants to attain something, but I think the real test is how can you maintain what you have and just be content with that. Like in the entrepreneur space, everybody wants to chase the bag, but it's like, you know, like $1 million dream. Like I just want time. I want to do things that have impact in the community and leave a legacy that's greater, right? And part of doing that is basketball. It's coaching, it's training. That could be a coaching position. It could be, you know, being a director of basketball in certain areas. I don't know exactly what that hat is yet, but in the future, I see myself coaching some college teams here in the city, or helping out on the CBL as well.
Or even the WNBA team that's coming.
Absolutely, yeah. And I even helped like train like Kia Nurse, so I was fortunate to be a part of some of these.
That's a big
circles,
event, So no, kudos to you, and testimony to you know, the great work that you're doing. So
yeah, I appreciate.
Congratulations for that. Okay, so as we're kind of closing up, we always like to ask our guests two kind of fun questions. First one is, maybe you already have it, but what is the one dream feature you'd like in your house?
Outside of a basketball court?
That could be part of it.
I'm gonna say that's like the obvious one. I would say a really big island, like in my kitchen. I like a big kitchen island. It's just like, I love hosting people, and the wifey, you know, meal prepping. It's nice to have all that space.
Okay. Yeah, that's not too hard to find. I can send you a few listings that way.
I appreciate that. I know a guy.
And the other question is, what's the one type of food you could eat for the rest of your life? So,
single food or dish?
Up to you. What do you want to?
I love sweet potatoes.
Sweet potatoes?
But outside of sweet potatoes, probably steak.
Steak? Yeah. Okay. A steak and frites, but with potato fries.
No, I just like one single food. I love sweet potatoes. I don't know. I've always loved sweet potatoes.
Okay.
But if it was like fine dining, definitely steak.
Different steak. All right. Any shout outs to any steakhouses or recipes, or your own
I mean,
grill? Or
my wife and I, we sometimes will get, you know, just like the budget cuts, like top sirloin or prime rib from like when they go on sale. You can actually eat very high quality on a budget, what a lot of people don't know. Like you save a lot of money meal prepping. We eat very well cooking steaks. I have steak and eggs, avocado and roasted potatoes for breakfast. Like, wow. But we do that because we save money in the long run as well. So from others, you're like, oh, you live bougie, but it's bougie on a budget. You know? So,
you're in control. You know what you're putting into your food, right? So, and I guess we didn't talk about that, but the nutrition part of the game too. It's
very important.
Very important. Any last words of advice for our young audience that are listening?
Young audience,
or anyone that's aspiring to, you know?
Yeah, just keep going. Don't worry about the product. Don't worry so much even about the process. Focus on the person in the process, like, because that's really what it matters, and what it comes down to, your mindset, your personal development, before anything else. And so really just don't rush the process. Don't compare yourself to others. Everybody has a different journey and path, and so just keep going.
Keep on going. So keep on pressing forward.
Press on.
All right. That pretty much wraps up this week's episode of TimSold Talk. So thank you very much, Coach Wesley, for coming on and sharing this amazing success story that you've had.
Thank you.
Where can our fans follow you if they want to reach out to you?
So right now on Instagram at Pressonpath. Will be the number one spot.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Yeah. And we'll put the links in below. So if you guys are want to find the details, the links will be there. If you enjoyed today's episode and looking to buy, sell, and invest in real estate, you know who to call. But if you want, further basketball training and extraordinary coach right here, you know who to call there.
Thank you.
Please give us a follow, a like, and write. We'll cut that one out.
It's all good.
That's all right. It's been a long day.
No worries.
Okay. If you enjoyed today's episode and looking to buy and sell in real estate, you know who to call. But if you want further basketball development for your child or for yourself, you know who to call right there. All the links will be there for you. Please don't forget to give us a review and like on Spotify and YouTube and all the wonderful accounts. It really helps the algorithm and push out the content, and to give thanks to the guests for coming on talking to our show today. Remember, guys, dream it, believe it, achieve it. It's a beautiful day to sell homes. Let's go get it. Thank you very much for coming on today, Coach.
Let's go.
Hi, I'm Tim Kern, and I proudly lead the TimSold team. We're voted as one of the top 3 brokerages in Markham, and we will sell your house fast and for top dollar with the least amount of hassle, or we guarantee to buy it. Call us today and start packing.